Happy Monday. Welcome to this week's installment of Weekly Wisdom, the 7 Deadly Sins of Leadership. This week we are looking at the 6th deadly sin of leadership, and that's when we make assumptions. Now, this one is very near and dear to my heart. You see, if you know me really, really well, then you know that one of my insecurities is I can be socially awkward. Now, as I've grown up, I've been able to kind of sand off the edges of that awkwardness so that it's not as obvious. But when I was younger, it was very obvious. If you have seen any of the Star Trek movies, then Spock, that would have been me. I knew that people had emotions, and I knew that people felt emotions, and I felt emotions. They just didn't always connect very well. And so these assumptions that were made, I got called cold and unfeeling and worse things than that, when none of it was true. And as a leader, when we make assumptions about our employees without asking the questions to find out what's actually going on, we do damage to that employee, whether we're making really, really positive assumptions or not so positive assumptions like the employee doesn't care, or they're cold, or unfeeling, or they're lazy, or fill in the blank. And so it's critical that as a leader, you're open to having these very important and invested conversations with your employees. That is going to be when trust is built and loyalty is built, is when you learn how to have those challenging conversations, but you do it in a professional and respectful way. I have a very important question for you. How long do you hold grudges? If an employee does something, how long do you hold that grudge for? Or if you go to a new location and the leaders before you share, oh yeah, you need to watch out for that one. That employee, let me tell you. Are you going to carry that grudge? Are you going to pick it up and receive it from that prior leader? Your employees deserve a clean slate. And when I was at Disney, I got in quite a bit of trouble. And I remember getting frustrated. It was about 18 months after it had happened, and I was asking to do something and was told no. And whenever I asked why, they cited that. And I asked them point blank, how long am I going to be paying for this? If you could let me know when we can start over and my career can start again, I'd really appreciate it. Because that happened 18 months ago. I don't know about you, but especially this past year, are you a completely different person in 2021 than you were in 2019? Most of us are. So part of the assumptions that we make about our employees is that we need to let go of certain things. A good rule of thumb, if it hasn't happened in the past 6 months and it's not anything like life-shattering or major, then it shouldn't count. 6 months is a good rule of thumb. People change drastically, so quickly. Let them change. Another piece of this, I mentioned in one of the prior episodes that I've been doing a lot of work with Dare to Lead and Brene Brown, not with her or her team, just myself reading the book. I don't like, she's not endorsing this or anything. But one of the tips that she has is to ask, what is the story I'm telling myself? So if I see an employee, if I ask an employee and say, hey, you've been late the past 3 or 4 days, I really need you to start showing up on time. And then the very next shift that employee's late, the story that I may tell myself is obviously that I don't care. We've already had this conversation. I don't understand why they can't be here on time. That can be the story that we have going on in our head. But instead of the story, I should walk up to the employee and say, hey, talk to me. What's going on? We had the conversation yesterday about being late. You're late again today. Talk to me. How can I help? And then maybe I discover that their car broke down. They're sharing one car and they're doing the best that they can. And that's when, as a leader, you have the ability to step in and help make an already stressful situation better. That's when you build the loyalty and the trust. Be bold. Ask the questions. Don't assume and don't tell stories. Hear it from the employee. Hear about what's going on. Give your employees the same benefit of the doubt that you want given to you. As one of the quickest ways that, for me, whenever I reported to my leaders, for me to lose trust in them was when they started making assumptions. And they didn't come to me and have conversations with me when something was going wrong or I wasn't delivering the way they expected. Instead, they told stories about whatever was happening. And by the time they actually asked me, they were mad. That caused a lot of damage to the frustration, to the relationship that I had with that leader. So as a leader, remember, avoid the sixth deadly sin. Don't make assumptions. Don't tell you stories. Ask questions. Have conversations. Be brave. Be bold. Thank you for tuning in for this week's Weekly Wisdom. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a wonderful week, and I can't wait to see you next week. As always, don't forget,